Welcome to this Elite Explainer Masterclass. I'm stepping right into the shoes of a Cambridge principal examiner today, and we are going to dissect exactly how you can absolutely crush the types of business entity topic in your Cambridge AS and A-Level Accounting 9706 exams. Look, if you're sitting there treating the sole trader, the partnership, and the limited company as just some basic, introductory, common sense chapter to skim through before the real accounting starts, well, you are falling into the exact trap examiners see year after year. We are going to completely shift your mindset today. We're going to deconstruct complex, high-tariff questions, master your time allocation, deploy advanced critical thinking strategies, and analyze exactly how top-tier scholars solve these problems. So get ready to take some serious mental notes. Let's dive right in.
15%. I really want that number to sink in for a second. Based on our extensive, rigorous curriculum analysis, this single topic accounts for a massive 15% of the total available marks in Paper 2. Think about what that actually means for your final grade boundary when results day rolls around. 15% is literally the entire gap between an A star and a B. It's make or break. Mastering this section requires so much more than just vaguely knowing that a sole trader works alone. It demands a highly structural, deeply strategic approach to how these entities operate, how they scale, and crucially, how they report their financials under pressure. You need the examiner's lens, and that's exactly what we're equipping you with today.
Here is our structured roadmap for the session. We'll start with the 15% mark advantage, move into core theoretical principles, unlock the method mark strategy, highlight critical examiner warnings, and finish with our ultimate framework: deconstruct, solve, evaluate.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the 15% mark advantage.
To truly secure this 15% advantage, you absolutely have to master the anatomy of the command words used in those massive 9 to 15 mark questions. Examiners use various specific verbs, and misreading them immediately caps your potential score, no matter how good your accounting math is. Let's deeply contrast some of these right now. Analyze means breaking down the mechanics, for instance, pulling apart exactly how a partnership's profit appropriation account functions step by step. But evaluate? That demands a hard judgment based on evidence. You have to weigh the pros and cons of an action to reach a definitive, justified conclusion. What about explain versus to what extent? Explain just requires clarifying a concept clearly, but to what extent is a trap for the unprepared. It demands you measure the specific impact of a variable and explicitly acknowledge the conflicting arguments. To secure these marks, you need precise definitions, causal relationships, and cross-topic connections. If a sole trader brings in a partner, how does that causal relationship affect their capital structure? Demonstrating that a partnership's current accounts behave fundamentally differently than a limited company's retained earnings is exactly how you hack the exam and unlock those elite marking bands.
Moving right along to Section 2, Core Theoretical Principles, let's look at how cognitive skills are actually graded by examiners. Okay, listen up, because this is a direct, non-negotiable rule straight from the principal examiner reports. Always define key terms clearly before using them in your extended responses. I want to bring you into our digital study suite for a second. Imagine we have two scholars working on a complex essay layout right now. Let's call them Alex and Sam. Alex is highly technical, brilliant at formulas and facts, but struggles with open-ended evaluation. Sam is our creative thinker, incredible at forming arguments, but sometimes lacks structural precision and timing. Alex says, let's just jump straight into the numbers, show the profit difference. But Sam argues, no, we need to talk broadly about the concept of liability first. Who's right? Neither, until they actually define the terms. A massive pitfall is terminology confusion. Writing a beautiful, complex paragraph about a limited company, but using the word drawings instead of dividends, or discussing a partnership but accidentally writing shareholders, instantly signals to the examiner that you lack a precise theoretical foundation. Anchoring your response with a crisp, flawless definition of the specific entity cures this pitfall and sets a highly professional, top-tier tone for everything that follows.
Now look at this breakdown. Your grades are meticulously split across 3 distinct cognitive domains, or assessment objectives. AO1, knowledge and understanding, is 33%. AO2, analysis, is 33%. And AO3, evaluation, is 34%. Back to our scholars. Alex is pushing hard for a purely factual approach to unlock those AO1 marks. Just tell them a limited company issues shares, Alex says. Meanwhile, Sam is trying to jump straight to AO3, arguing abstractly about how an owner might lose control of the business. But they are missing the critical bridge, AO2, analysis. It's not enough to just state facts, and you can't just jump to abstract arguments. You have to structurally analyze how the specific financial data provided in the exam stimulus material proves that the business needs the capital from shares more than the owner needs sole control. You have to balance all three of these domains to unlock the top-tier marking bands. Competence across the entire board is the only way to full marks.
That brings us perfectly to Section 3, the method mark strategy. This is an absolute game changer.
Okay, before we dive into the absolute hardest part of this problem-solving framework, I need to pause our session for a quick second. If you are serious about crushing your Cambridge exams and you want to master these elite strategies, you need to subscribe to the channel Ace the Exams IGCSE O and A levels. That's at Ace the Exam _IGCSE. Hit that subscribe button right now and make absolutely sure you enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon. We drop Cambridge Breakthrough Strategies weekly, and you do not want to miss a single one if you're aiming for an A star. All right, let's get back to it. The method mark strategy is an examiner's secret where marks are awarded for your analytical process, not just the final numerical answer. We use a standardized 5-step framework. 1. Identify the key elements. 2. Apply relevant theoretical principles. 3. Execute with clear working. 4. Verify results. 5. Present in the correct format. Imagine Alex and Sam hitting a major roadblock on an exam question right now. They've miscalculated the gross profit in step 1, and they're panicking about their timing and paragraph linking. This is where I'd step in and say, stop. Look at the cognitive strategy. If you document your working clearly in step 3 and then flawlessly apply your flawed number into the correct presentation format in step 5, the examiner will still award you the majority of the method marks. Your systematic processing must be visible. Structure literally saves your grade.
Now, let's talk about the transition from superficial breadth to true analytical depth. Let's rewrite a flawed response out loud. Say a student writes, "The business should become a limited company because it raises more capital, has limited liability, and looks more professional." That is superficial breadth. It's a mediocre answer because it's just a memorized list lacking any specific application to the scenario. Let's transform that into a flawless, full-mark response showcasing analytical depth. Listen to the difference. The sole trader should convert to a limited company because the data shows a $50,000 capital deficit for the planned expansion. By issuing ordinary shares, the entity secures long-term non-current capital without incurring the interest burden of a bank loan, directly improving their gearing ratio. Boom. Do you hear the difference? That depth is exactly what the examiner is desperately looking for.
That elite level of analytical depth relies on 3 core practical application skills. First, applying correct formats. There are strict accounting conventions, proper headings, clear annotations, the right margins. This is non-negotiable. Second, using appropriate terminology ensures clinical precision. Third, evaluating performance based on the exact scenario you've been given. Actively practicing these 3 specific skills develops the professional competence required to absolutely ace the assessment framework.
Let's move into Section 4, Critical Examiner Warnings. We are on high alert now. We're going into an immersive workshop segment right now. I want you to imagine a complex graphical chart popping up on your screen detailing the equity changes of a partnership converting to a limited company. Now, let's spot the flaws in a hypothetical, poorly written student answer based on the top 3 principal examiner traps. Trap number 1, omitting the proper format. The student provides a messy, jumbled list of calculations for the statement of changes in equity, completely ignoring the standardized column layout. Instant mark deduction. Trap number 2, failing to double-check presentation. The student forgot to put brackets around their negative figures and missed the final double underline on the balance sheet. It looks incredibly sloppy and costs easy marks. Trap number 3, providing answers not specific to the given context. The student recommends that a tiny local family bakery floated shares on a massive national stock exchange. It's completely unreasonable for the context. Always anchor your answers to the specific stimulus material provided. So how do you avoid falling into those traps when the exam clock is ticking down and the pressure is sky high? Here is a brilliant memory hack: the SPL hierarchy. Sole trader, partnership, limited company. SPL. Use this as a cognitive anchor. When you're writing about a sole trader, mentally prompt yourself for terms like drawings and owner's equity. For a partnership, prompt your brain for current account, appropriation, and partners. For a limited company, lock in dividends, retained earnings, and shareholders. Locking these distinct vocabulary sets strictly to the SPL acronym prevents you from accidentally blending your terminology under pressure. Finally, Section 5. Deconstruct, solve, evaluate. Let's bring everything together. This is our 3-step critical analysis loop, and it directly targets those higher-order assessment objectives we talked about. Step 1.
the three-step question scan. You deconstruct the question by highlighting the exact command word and extracting the specific financial data straight from the text. Step 2. Break the problem into logical steps and solve systematically. For example, explicitly calculate the exact capital injection needed for the different entity types before you start writing your essay. Step 3. Check reasonableness and justify your recommendations. You have to explicitly state why one option is superior based on the data. For example, explain how admitting a new partner provides immediate liquidity without the heavy, ongoing compliance costs of setting up a limited company.
This scales perfectly into what we call the paragraph balance formula. A top-tier answer flows logically upward through 3 levels. It starts at the descriptive level, simply stating what the business entities are. Then it scales up to the analytical level, calculating exactly how a structural change impacts specific financial ratios. Finally, it ascends to the elite evaluative level, making highly justified recommendations by directly comparing the alternatives. Our scholars, Alex and Sam, had massive breakthroughs using this. Alex learned to move beyond just the analytical math to actually evaluate the outcomes, and Sam learned to anchor those creative evaluations in hard, descriptive, and analytical facts. That balance is the formula for success.
I want you to burn this quote into your memory. Deconstruct the question, extract data, execute with notation, present with correct terminology. This is your absolute, non-negotiable last 5 minutes review checklist. When you have 5 minutes left in that exam hall, you don't just stare at the ceiling. You look at your answer and ask, did I deconstruct the prompt accurately? Did I extract the precise data? Did I execute the math with crystal clear, visible notation to guarantee my method marks? And does my final presentation use the exact correct terminology? Checking these 4 boxes is how you lock down those vital final marks.
So, knowing this strategic, examiner-level framework, how will mastering this 15% shift your overall exam strategy? We've covered the core pillars today: the 3-step question scan, the paragraph balance formula, and the last 5 minutes review checklist. You now know how to deploy precise definitions, balance those cognitive domains, and use the MethodMark framework as an ultimate safety net. Crushing Cambridge exams isn't about rote memorization. It requires consistent, elite strategy. Before you go, hit that subscribe button for AC Exams IGCSE O and A levels. That's at ACExam_IGCSE. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an exam hack. And right now, jump into the comments and tell me what your target grade is. Next time you sit down with a past paper, don't just recite facts, evaluate like an examiner. Stay strategic, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next masterclass.